Welcome back to the class, everyone. When it comes to quality of life changes in Galaxy of Heroes, I realize it's easier to focus on some of the bigger things that need attention, like revamping the entirety of Territory Wars given the fact of how old it is, or even the raid and making it a little less RNG dependent. With all that being said, I do want to take some time to shed some light on some of these smaller quality of life changes that could have a really big impact. Some of you might be asking why we're even talking about this in the first place, and it really stems from the fact that Meathead, our community manager, recently in a Discord server, the events Discord server to be exact, made this comment that we will be getting one small quality of life change here in the upcoming updates. And while this video really isn't meant to be a prediction of what that's supposed to be, it did get me thinking about what are some things out there that could be small but actually have a really big impact. So as with all things, we made a list. The first one that I think would be a really big impact that I've seen a lot of people ask for, both in streams, on Discord, and in the YouTube comment section, is the reoccurring events that we get in this tab here to just make the vast majority, the older ones that don't really change much, stimmable. And I don't really have a great example of one right now. Ghosts of Dathomir would be one of them. Galactic Bounties one would be another. But the really big one that we seemingly all have to do every time because we have Jabba is Smuggler's Run 2. It's not necessarily hard. We've been using the same strategy every single time for the year or so that he's been out, or the year or so that we've had that event. It just becomes really redundant, and there really isn't anything to gain from it other than the rewards, which we've kind of already earned, both by farming that character and by proving the fact that we can 3-star it several times over. So that is going to be the first thing that I think could be a really big impact, and all they would have to do is add the little sim button down here like you would in an assault battle. The next thing I think they could do that would be very simple, that really wouldn't change all that much, or would change a lot, but wouldn't be all that hard to implement, would be a mod loadout. Now, those of you who use Hot Utils, a third-party application, will know that we actually already have this capability, just not in-game. And basically, all I am looking for here is for them to implement 2 buttons here at the top when we go into our mod version here, and that to be save mods and load mods. And of course, when you would click on it, it'll have that disclaimer of, are you sure you want to change so many mods? It'll cost this much credits. This was the date it was done. That's fine. That pop-up is probably always going to be in everything. Like when you apply a Zeta or an Omicron, that's a precious resource. But having these 2 buttons here at the top would just save a lot of time. I don't know about all of you, but when we have an Ewok or a Jawa Galactic Challenge, and I have to suddenly move all of my best mods onto those characters to at least guarantee the fact that I'm going to get 2 Omicrons out of this, it's really annoying to have to go back and put them all. And quite frankly, it's even annoying the fact that I have to log in to a third-party application, press the button, come all the way back in, do all the fixes I need to do to move, SLKR's moves or mods onto Paplu, and then I have to log out. I have to go back into the third-party application to put everything back where it was. It's just annoying. It's a time nuisance, and just having these 2 buttons at the top would completely and utterly solve that issue for the most part. I realize there would be maybe specific loadouts for raids and stuff like that, but just having this so that you could go and do a raid and then just flop it back would be very, very helpful. The next thing that I think would be really nice to have, and I haven't heard anyone talk about this, so maybe I'm just completely out in left field on this, and it actually wouldn't be something that people enjoy, but when it comes to these shipments, I don't love that I have to essentially check in every 6 hours to be able to take advantage of this. And I realize you could be less efficient by not checking it every 6 hours or so. But if I'm really trying to be efficient, I'm trying to get the best bang for my buck, I want to be in here every 6 hours. And this becomes really annoying when you have things in real life that take longer than 6 hours, like sleeping. I realize not all of you are getting 6 hours, but a lot of us would like to. And what ends up happening is Galaxy of Heroes ends up being the last thing you do when you're awake, or the first thing you do when you wake up, or maybe both. And I don't love that from a quality of life standpoint, when really all we're doing is going in here and buying stuff with currency that we already earned. One of the ways that I think they could remedy this that would be fairly simple is, instead of going from 6 hours to 6 hours, go from 12 hours to 12 hours. So it would only refresh really once throughout the day, and then all you would have to do, and I'm not sure the best way for this to look like would be, but when you click on an item, since we always have to click on it twice anyways, after you click on it, it would give the option to buy 1 or 2, or in this case, I guess 2 of the HoloLens or 4 of the HoloLens. That way, we're not actually missing out on rewards or getting less rewards for the currency we have. But at the same time, we're not having to come in here and check it 4 times a day. One of the things that I really like that they've done with GAC, or really it's been since GAC since the very beginning, is you only have to log in once a day, go and do your attacks, and then you're done. You don't have to come back in and check 4 times throughout the day to make sure that you're going to win your GAC. You go and you do your battles, you're done. I'm looking for a very similar type of quality of life here, where I'm not having to constantly come back and check in so that I can make sure I get my Enoch shards or my micro attenuators or whatever it is, because quite frankly, that just bugs me an awful lot. The next thing I think they could do that would be a massive help has to do with the Datacron user interface. And while I realize with Datacrons, there's like 100 things they could do as far as big revamps, I'm not asking for any type of big revamp. Literally, all I am asking for is, wait for it, that. I just want that. I just want 2 arrows on the side of the Datacron so that I can scroll to the next one or the one before. It's really annoying the fact that I have to click out and click in. Not just because it's extra clicks, I realize clicks are just going to be there and that's kind of part of the game. But at the same time, if I have 3 K2SO-crons, or let's say 9 level 6s that I'm not getting to roll right, and I have to constantly go in and check it, okay, this isn't the one that had the right amount of dodge or defense or whatever as I'm looking for. So I go back out and I go back in and I do this one. But they all look the same because we can't title them or anything. Half the time when there's, again, 6 or 7 of them of the same type, I don't even know where they are. All I would have to do if I had these fancy arrows here is pick the one on the farthest left or farthest right and just go down. Just click my way down, right, next, back. It would just make things significantly easier and much easier to, I don't know, or much less time consuming to have to get around with. So again, a lot of things they could do in the Datacron space to make them easier, like naming them or being able to attach them to a squad or something like that. But I really, as a basic functionality, I don't know why this wasn't here since the beginning. I realize things had to get out at a certain time, but still, that seems like a very basic function that I would very much like to have and would be a great quality of life enhancement. Now, last but not least is going to be some bronziums. This has probably been on every single quality of life list ever by every YouTuber, just because the fact that bronzium data cards have been in the game almost since the very beginning, and we still have to buy them 250 at a time if you do not have a third party like Hot Utils to just go in and do it for you. All I'm really looking for, it's nothing fancy, it's pretty simple. The same thing that we do for our scavenger materials, where we just go in and we pick some atrociously high number like 772 and then hit OK. That's exactly what I'm looking for. All I want is to be able to click into this, scroll down to, I actually don't have that many right now because of Hot Utils, so I guess that's kind of a shout out to them. But if I did have 100,000, which you can get in like 2 or 3 weeks if you're refreshing all your energies, then yeah, you're going to have a lot to be able to consume all at one time. And sim tickets, I mean, if you've been playing the game for any amount of time, you have them in abundance. You don't really need any, or you don't really have a problem burning off anymore. So those are going to be my 5, again, simple quality of life changes that I think could just make the game a whole lot better without having to completely reinvent the wheel or anything like that. Let me know in the comments what you think would be something simple they could do to just make the experience a lot more enjoyable. Until the next time, stay awesome.